Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're taking a trip down memory lane as we discuss a fantastic cartoon made especially for kids, Codename Kids Next Door.
This series stars 5 kids, secret agents, in their constant battle with evil adults. Filled with lots of action and creativity. If you didn't already know who the creator is, you may have thought this was made by kids. This is Rascal's childhood!
Yeah, pretty much, because I grew up with this show, and I've almost watched every single episode they had, and I can remember most of the episodes. And they would have for the episode titles to be Operation whatever, and then it would have the initials there, and it would type out what the acronym stood for, and then it would be funny, like, how'd you get that from that? But it always made sense, and it would just be really brilliantly done for the time. It was for kids, most definitely. It wasn't anything really super deep or action-packed or lore. Well, they did get that in the movie, but it was just something kids would like. You would think that this could happen for real. Little kids being secret agents, building contraptions, vehicles, a moon base, an organization out of everyday objects. They didn't build this out of machines and stuff like you see in James Bond stuff. You know, the music and the tone was a shout out to James Bond. They made it his own thing, and all the kids had to do stuff that had to be based off kid logic. That was the key behind it. They couldn't think like adults. They had to think like kids. So everything that was done within the show had to be something a kid would do.
I think for me, you know, from hearing what you said, Craig of the Creek is a shout out to Kids Next Door because it's really kid logic and based the same way. Now for me, I have to say I did not watch anywhere near the number of episodes that Rascal watched. I watched some, and I watched the movie finale.
Right.
So this is really a podcast about her love for this incredible show that she has talked about for many, many years, and told me about the wonderful online interactive things on the website.
Oh yeah.
And then of course for me, I remember the great voice actors who, especially like Lauren Tom
and Cree Summer,
who voiced some of the characters. So I'm gonna take a back seat. I'll interject a little, but this is Rascal's Childhood Podcast.
And there were just so many great episodes and different concepts and stuff for kids that translated really well. And one thing that was always like really headfirst into the show is that it really was Kids Next Door. The enemies were adults. Everyone, you did have good adults, but most of the villains were adults and teenagers sometimes. And when you reached the age of 13, your memory was wiped with the K&D, and you would just be a normal person because you would no longer be a kid. And when you hit 20 or 21, then you were officially an adult and could be considered an enemy.
Right.
And and with that concept, it was really neat. So you had to do as much as you could at 12 years old. So after that age, that's it, you're out. And they even made a concept out of that. There was one kid in there, I think, Agent 123. He hit 13, but he ran off and went rogue and didn't want to get his memory wiped, so he went like AWOL, and he was like a rogue, and they were looking for him because he was the one that mentored some of the kids, and seen him at AWOL and go missing, and they were trying to get him back because of he could expose their secret. And let's see what else they had. They had one that was always memorable was when number 5 went to the mountains to find the 4th flavor in those those Napoleon ice cream things you get, Neapolitan. You would get the chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla, and there was this golden flavor, and you had to find out what was the 4th flavor, and you never knew what it tasted like. It was thought to be a myth. And the collection of villains were also great. It was always what could be the enemy of kids, besides teachers, of course. You had the dentist, voiced by Tom Kenny. You had the toiletator, who was like, I guess, hygiene. You had the Mr. Boss Man, who was just the corporate guy. The crazy cat lady. Father, delightful children from down the lane, who were always the big bads.
Oh man, and that one, when I saw that one, and I remember our Nana telling us about this movie called, what was the name of the movie? She showed
Children of the Corn?
Not Children of the Corn. That was the 80s. Children of the Corn was the 80s. This movie actually took place, I think it was the early 60s in black and white, and these children were all blonde children, and they were evil. And then they had these powers like the kids on Kids Next Door. Mm-hmm. It was called, okay, and unfortunately the title is Children of the Damned. And that was the parody from that. As soon as I saw it, I knew it. So I knew
right. Yeah, they always talk in unison. They were properly dressed, and one on a football and go, "Hello, Nigel." No, they always talk like this in unison. Somehow they managed to say the same thing at the same time. It was really creepy. And they just had like and they had the ice cream villains, and there were just so many villains. And oh wait, I'm sorry, there was also one more number 5 sister who knew about the Kids Next Door, and she was always a constant threat. And it was just really great how they set up everything. What would be the enemy of kids, and it would be all these people and the lunch lady and so forth. They would just have so many potential enemies. They never ran out of villains, and most of them pretty much were adults.
Tell us some more about each number 1 through 5.
Okay.
So number 1. And he was the leader, right?
Yes, his name was literally Nigel Uno. I'm like, wait a minute, your name literally is one. Okay, and he was voiced by Benjamin Diskin.
And I'm not familiar with him.
Yeah, I think he's done a little bit of voice acting, but not as much. And he was the leader with the shades. He was like a kid Nick Fury almost. Mm-hmm. And he had his flaws, even though he was supposed to be like the leader. Nothing's supposed to be wrong with him and headstrong, but he had insecurities and stuff, just like the rest of them. And it was funny when that stuff was exposed and he always get flustered. They had
number 2.
Yeah, number 2, his name was, they called him Hoagie, and he was also voiced by Benjamin Diskin. Okay. He sounded completely different, so I couldn't tell at the time of listening.
He was the original Alex Hirsch.
Yeah. And he was the one that invented all of the gadgets and was pretty much the brains of the team, and he really, really liked to eat a lot. So that was the first time you had, I guess you could say, prototype hunk, the one who ate and was smart. Right. You had number 3, who was Kooky, and voiced by Lauren Tom.
And I loved her little animals. They were like Care Bears.
Yeah, rainbow monkeys, da 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 da. They were driving everyone crazy because they were annoyingly catchy. He was like, take it, stop! And they had a rainbow monkey for this and a rainbow monkey for that. It was a rainbow monkey for everything. It was like, oh gosh, yeah, this is Care Bears. You had number 4, and his name was Wally, voiced by D. Bradley Baker. Yeah. And he had a lot of focus episodes in the show. Mm-hmm. Number 5, who was named Abby, and she was voiced by Cree Summer. And then they had 2 of the leaders. One was for the moon base and the other for the earth base. Mm-hmm. Number 86 was voiced by Jennifer Hale. And then number 362, who was voiced by Rachel McFarlane.
Okay. And the delightful children from down the lane, tell them that little fun fact who they were voiced by.
The same actors for the Kids Next Door, Benjamin Diskin, D. Bradley Baker, and Cree Summer. I was like, that was hilarious. They were the villains and the heroes.
Now, I remember you were telling me about their outstanding and fun website that they had where you could become your own Kid Next Door Codename
agent. Yeah, you go to a little training. You could create your own little agent there, like when you make your own characters, and they'll assign you a code name, and you kept your number there, and they have lots of numbers, so they make sure not to mix it up. And you could do the games and stuff online. They have a Cartoon Network, and every time there was a special event or a special episode like Operation Mac and Cheese or something, there'll be a new game unlocked or something new for you to do. Put in a code and you could go online and keep up with it. Okay. And what was great is that I gotta bring this up later when this actually comes into play later after the show goes off.
Oh, go ahead, tell us about it now.
Oh, sure, okay. When the show ended, a lot of people thought, okay, we're gonna get something else after, because the way it ended with Operation Interviews, which was a 90-minute finale movie with live action actors with them as grown up, showing, I said, what happened on their last mission with number 1 when they had to go through this whole worldwide race with the delightful children down the lane, a bunch of other villains for the ultimate birthday cake. And then I won't spoil how it ends, but it's a really sad ending what happens number 1. And it's left hinted that, you know, he's still part of Kids Next Door, even though they're all adults. So that was like opportunity for something. The creator of the show, Mr. Warburton, had a pitch for a sequel series to Kids Next Door called Galactic Kids Next Door. And it would have them in space. And they pretty much just colonized this whole space program. And they were going to just eliminate adults altogether. But instead of being limited to 20 to 21, 13 was considered an adult. And they were just going to wipe out, like, a lot of the population on Earth. And that became a thing of how you can't do that. There are too many innocent people there, and too many innocent adults there, you can't just wipe out the entire Earth of adults just because of bad ones. And that was going to be the focus of the series. And they left the code of Save the Kids Next Door. And not many people knew about it because it aired on April Fool's Day, so they thought it was a joke.
Okay.
Until they were like, oh wait, no, this is real, and they were trying to push it as hard as they could, but it was too late, and they said the network had no plans of reviving it, and it sucked because he was really excited. He got some of the original voice actors back to do it, and it was like animatic. And they were working with aliens to get the people off the planet so they wouldn't be destroyed with it. And it looked like it was going to be a pretty intense series considering the tone of the cartoons nowadays. And online, when they were supporting it, all these people in the comments where one was for when it led them to a secret website where they could see it and get the information like a secret agent. The other one was where on YouTube people were saying all of their old code names that they have from when they first had the Cartoon Network website and the programs. They had all these people, thousands of people had their old names, and they were all reinitiated to help support the show.
Oh, that's
and they were like, oh, code name so and so reinitiated, and they were like all these thousands of comments, and they were adults now, and they were all, it's like they all got their memories back, and they all had to support the Kids Next Door.
Oh, cool.
And you would type in like a certain code on the site that will allow you to see the clip and the message for the next series, and you could type in all these different codes, and they were kind of hints to what happened, like some were missing in action.
Well, they all could have been adults. When did this show originally air?
Like in 2000s.
Okay, so then some of them were
teens. Some
would
be teens or
no
adults.
Way they were adults.
Because this thing happened.
Unless it was adults that were watching and participating.
Yeah. And I think, most of them would be teenagers or close to adults by now. And you would type in different names and stuff that had to do with the show, and it would let you know, like, if agents were missing in action. So they were really trying to foretell what would happen in this new show. Some agents were gone, they were dismissed, deactivated, MIA, and they were like ones you knew, and then you're like, what the heck happened? And it will always match up. So someone took a lot of time to match up everything you could possibly type in for this show with an answer.
So this aired actually 6 seasons beginning in 2002.
Yeah, a lot.
So actually, you started watching it after it already had been on for some time.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, I didn't know it had been on this long. As I said, this is literally your childhood. And it sounds awesome and amazing. I wish it was something that could come back, or it could inspire someone to make something similar. And the last thing I would like to say is, in listening to you and talking to you, and you talk about Cartoon Network and how you grew up with it and the different things they had, it's obvious that this station and the people that were there and in charge of it took so much time into making childhood fun, into making fun shows and a fun environment that not only did kids feel comfortable or like it was their world, but they could interact. And I think that is missing now with all, even with Nickelodeon, with Cartoon Network, Netflix, Disney, any of these stations that concentrate on children's shows. That element that lets the child feel like they are a part and they belong and they can interact is missing. Right. It's like they're telling you, this is what you should watch and this is what you should like.
Right, so either watch stupid comedy or nothing.
So I think during the 2000s, I think that, I'd say before then, I would say like during the time of Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's when it started, all the way through the probably 2010, maybe 2012 is when it was kids' heyday. Right. Without a doubt.
And then I think probably in 2013 is when we start to see the end of shows like this and of action shows. You no longer have the option of, when you watch it live, of do you want to see comedy, action, strictly comedy, or something really, really deep, and kids could handle it.
Right.
the last one thing they had, they also had another movie besides the series finale. They had one called Operation Zero, where they had father's father. He's called grandfather.
Did I see this with you?
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, the TV
really
movie,
good.
and he was looking for the book of the K&D, and it would show about every single piece of information that's ever been recorded for the organization from the time it was made to present day. And they thought Agent Zero was a myth. Mm-hmm. And then number one found the book. He found out his dad was the first Kids Next Door agent.
And he thought he was just boring.
Right, and just silly.
Quiet,
yeah. And then you found out of a father. Father was his uncle, right, which made the Delightful Children their cousins. So they were fighting family in that show. That was pretty. They had some mind-blowing stuff for a kids show. Mm-hmm. And grandfather was even more wicked than father because he wanted to turn everyone in the world into a senior citizen zombie, and everyone like him. And he was pretty much close to taking over the world. And I'm sorry, it was hilarious how they had some of the stuff change, and everyone to make them tapioca pudding. It's like, okay, you kind of lost your edge right there. But it was a really good movie, and how much it was taken seriously, and the stakes were really high.
I really enjoyed it. It was great, and I had never seen it, so it was fun watching that with you. But thank you for taking us down memory lane and your K&D childhood memories. And I wish there was a way that we could watch this. I could actually watch this over again.
Too.
And I know it probably would not mean to me what it means to you and all the kids that watched it during that time. But it sounds like so much fun that I don't know any adults that love cartoons that wouldn't want to watch it anyway.
Right.
So thank you.
You're welcome. And this was super fun to go down with you too, because it's just a really awesome show, and it's sad that shows like that aren't being made as much anymore or at all. Mm-hmm. Like the Craig of the Creek is the closest in terms of keeping the spirit of Kids Next Door, but this was great to remember.
Yeah.
So, I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.
End transmission.